Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming strategic case study examinations happening in February 2024. My name is Nick, and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. So, today's webinar is going to be a bit long. I take something like 90 minutes for today's webinar because we have to cover a lot in the session. First things first, I will talk about what you need to do when it comes to applying Preseen information when developing your answers. This is of utmost importance, especially given the fact that you are at the top level of the organization, you are involved with long-term decision making or strategic decision making, and you are directly reporting to board members as a senior finance manager. So in such an environment, as I mentioned in webinar number 1, you need to adopt something called an outside-in approach. So whenever arriving at decisions or whenever providing your recommendations, you have to think about how the different important stakeholders of the company will be affected as per your decision. And on top of that, you have to ensure that your decisions. Hold on a second, guys. Someone's Priska, your mic is on. I hope you can keep it on mute. So sorry about that, guys. So as I was saying earlier, when taking decisions, you have to think about how the important stakeholders will be affected, and on top of that, they need to make financial sense. And additionally, the type of recommendations which you come up with needs to be aligned with the internal dynamics of Robobryce, the company on which this times Preseen is based on. So if you come up with recommendations which are not aligned with the internal dynamics of the company, you are not doing your job properly. You are not playing the role of a senior finance manager in a successful manner. So with this in mind, at the SCS level, you'd gain a lot of marks if you bring in information from the Preseen, or if you develop recommendations which are totally aligned with the internal dynamics of the company. So you have to be conversant with Preseen application. So that's what I'm going to focus on first. Then I'm going to direct your attention towards an industry analysis. And as part of this analysis, I'll be also focusing on the Preseen document as well. So in the industry analysis, I'll talk about the real life dynamics within your chosen industry and how real life companies operate within this industry. And in the Preseen analysis, I will talk about the internal dynamics of Robobryce. Talking about what it had done in the past and the type of products and services it offers at the moment. And on top of that, I will also talk about the risk register of the company and how the board members intend to manage each type of risks faced by the company. And I will also say whether this risk management strategies adopted by the board is appropriate or not. And if it's not appropriate, I will be providing additional recommendations as well. So these are the areas which I'm going to focus on. And lastly, as you know already, you got your results last Thursday. So there could be a set of students who failed the SCS exam previously. So if that is the case, I will highlight what you need to do to rebound from your failure as well. Okay, so before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you about the upcoming webinars and workshops which we have scheduled for you. Mind you, all these webinars and workshops are conducted free of charge. So the upcoming webinar, which is happening on the 27th of January, next Saturday, highlights what you need to do when it comes to preparing for your examination. So in the fourth webinar, exam prep, I will talk about what you need to do to develop a positive attitude or to improve your confidence, because if you're confident, as per the CIMA examiner, chances of you passing the SCS exam is extremely high. Because if you are to perform in a successful manner as an SFM, you have to be confident about the job which you are carrying out. You have to be confident about the type of recommendations you provide. So all these things, tips pertinent to how to improve confidence, will be highlighted in the upcoming webinar. And on top of that, I will also take you through examiner's comments, because it's of utmost importance that you understand, what the examiner is telling you and what's requested from you. So that's covered in the fourth webinar. And I actually missed the third webinar, which is happening next Saturday, which is dedicated towards answering and time management technique. So when preparing for your examination, it's of utmost importance that you attempt mock exams, before attempting your real examination, because you have to get accustomed to exam conditions. You have to get accustomed to the type of questions which will be thrown at you, and you have to be conversant about how to develop answers, because there's absolutely no point of reading through the scenario and straight away, if you try to develop your answer, you're not spending some time to plan out your answer, or you're not spending time to think. Instead, it's better to adhere to the answering technique as well as time management techniques, which I'll be highlighting in next Saturday's webinar. So next Saturday's webinar is an extremely important one. So I hope you'd attend it live. And all these answering and time management techniques will be discussed in a practical sense based on the mini mock, one of the questions of the mini mock and its answer. I will highlight what you need to do when it comes to answer planning, and what type of answer plans you are supposed to develop. So if you, when practicing each of your mock exams, if you stick to these answering and time management techniques, you'd never run out of time at your examination. You'd come up with high quality and well structured answers. So that would ensure that you'd pass your SCS exam in the next sitting. So all these things are covered under the third webinar. And we have also scheduled a set of workshops for you. So within these workshops, I will be taking you through questions covering E3, P3, and F3 syllabi, so that you understand how theoretical knowledge is tested, and what type of answers you are supposed to develop when faced with each syllabus area. And in the final Q&A, which happens 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will give you last minute tips which will help you to maintain a positive attitude closer to the exam. Because as I mentioned earlier, if you're positive, if you're confident about yourself, then you're halfway through the journey. So all these things will be discussed in depth in the upcoming webinars and workshops. So make sure to attend them live. We are, in fact, recording all these webinars. The recorded versions can be accessed via our website. However, it's better if you can attend these webinars and workshops live, because then you can raise your concerns and questions then and there. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritties of today's webinar. So first things first, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to talk about what you need to focus on when it comes to bringing in information from the Preseen, or what you need to focus on with regards to Preseen application. So what's the right approach? So first things first, you need to know your key information. So all your information is presented as a Preseen document. So in the Preseen, the examiner gives you an indication about the history of the company, what it had been doing in the past, and what type of products and services it offers, what type of stakeholders it deals with. And on top of that, the examiner also provides you information about the industry dynamics, thereby highlighting the type of stakeholders the company needs to deal with. And on top of that, at the very end, the examiner also gives you information about the financial outlook of the company, thereby providing financial statements of Robobryce as well as its closest competitor, Favrobot. So you have to go through the entire document and be conversant with the information provided. However, you cannot remember all the information presented, because your case study or your Preseen goes up to something like 25 to 30 pages. So you can't remember everything. Instead, you need to have the ability to pick and select the most important information, and you have to constantly keep reminding yourself about these or memorizing these important information. So for instance, you need to know what Robobryce is up to. So as per the Preseen, Robobryce is into manufacturing autonomous and non-autonomous devices. And there is a service element as well, because they are also providing services which are focused on warehouse optimization. So you'd really understand what I'm talking about in a while when I take you through the internal dynamics of Robobryce. So likewise, you need to understand or remember the most important points. So the best way to understand what appears within the prescene, or the best way to decrypt prescene information, is to go through our prescene analysis videos. So we have developed three prescene analysis videos. Video number one is focused on an industry analysis. Video number two is focused on the internal dynamics of Robobryce. And in the third video, I've explained about the financial statements. I've carried out a financial analysis based on the financial statements of Robobryce as well as its closest competitor. So by watching the three prescene analysis videos, and after going through the annotated prescene, you'd see what the annotated prescene looks like in a while. So after going through these resources and material, you are in a position to really understand what's highlighted within the prescene, what the company is up to, what type of an industry it operates in, and about its financial situation. On top of that, in order to make your life easier, in order to ensure that you really remember the key information, we have developed three TikTok videos which can be accessed via our TikTok handle. So if you keep watching these three TikTok videos which we have developed on a daily basis, then you are in a position to constantly keep reminding yourself about the most important points which are highlighted within the prescene. So these are the type of free resources we offer at TCS. So make use of these resources. So it's a good mind map. These three TikTok videos are focused or with the intention of developing a good mind map, so that you can easily remember the points highlighted, important points highlighted within the prescene. So if you watch the prescene analysis videos, go through the annotated prescene, you'd have an in-depth understanding about the company, its industry, as well as its financial performance. And on a daily basis, keep watching the three TikTok videos to keep yourself constantly reminded about the most important points which are highlighted within the prescene. So that's done. After doing it, you have to conduct a ratio analysis. So because it's of utmost importance that you remember the key ratios, because as a senior finance manager, as I told you earlier, when carrying out your evaluations or when coming up with your recommendations, you have to come up with your recommendations which makes financial sense. So for instance, let's assume the company is trying to invest or invest on a new project, or the company is planning to pursue a related or an unrelated diversification. So whilst evaluating the possibility of a diversification strategy, you have to also think about if there's a question about financing options, you have to be conversant with the gearing ratio. So if we are going for debt, how is it affecting our gearing ratio? If we are going for equity, how is it affecting our gearing ratio? Because based on the gearing ratio, we can determine whether we can easily seek loan financing or not. Okay, so likewise, you have to be conversant with the key ratios, thereby going through the financial statements of the company as well as its closest competitor. So rather than you trying to evaluate these financial statements, rather than you trying to compute or calculate these ratios, we have done it for you. So let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So this is these are the set of financial analysis slides prepared for a previous case study. So in this, as you can see, all the financial statements are evaluated, and the annotations, we have kept it simple and short so that you can easily understand what happens within the company. So a horizontal analysis had been conducted based on the SOPL. The same had been done with regards to the statement of financial position and the statement of changes in equity. So we have kept things simple so that you can easily understand about what happens in a financial in a financial sense within the company. And at the end, a ratio analysis is also conducted, thereby focusing on different types of ratios, and each ratio had been evaluated in depth. Again, we have kept things simple so that you can easily understand about the financial performance of the company. So that's exactly what you can see throughout this set of slides, and a similar evaluation had been carried out for the closest competitor as well. So you need not try to evaluate the financial statements on your own. We have done it for you, and you have to prepare for possible scenarios, but be open-minded. So when attempting the mock exams, you get conversant about the type of scenarios which can be thrown at you at the real exam. However, it's prudent to be open-minded. Why? Because you cannot really rely on the scenarios or solely rely on the scenarios which you'd encounter when attempting mock exams. Why am I saying this? Because as I mentioned in webinar number 1, the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. And in that environment, you are playing the role of a senior finance manager. So it's as if, just imagine that you are working for your own company, and in it, you are playing the role of a senior finance manager. So as a senior finance manager, when you walk into office and open up emails, you'd you'd get information about some type of opportunities faced by the company, which it's trying to exploit, and you'd also gain access to information about some type of an issue faced by the company. And considering these things, you would have to come up with recommendations. So when you walk into office and before you walk into office and open your emails, you are not in a position to predict the type of issues your company might face and the type of opportunities at its disposal which can be exploited. So it's better to keep an open mind, because as a SFM, you are not in a position to predict about the business environment in which Robobryce or your company will operate. So since the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment, in a real life corporate environment, if you are to play your role successfully, then you have to be open-minded. So a similar mindset should be replicated in your real examination. So keep your mind open, then you'd come up with appropriate recommendations. There's absolutely no point of trying to memorize the scenarios which you'd encounter within the mock exams. Instead, this is a professional qualification. This tests your practical application skills heavily. So because of that, it's better to be open-minded. And remember that the scenario presented in the exam carries the latest information. So the type of information which appears within the Preseen document gives us an indication about what has happened within the company in the past. However, at the exam, it's as if you are walking into office, opening your laptop or your computer, then you receive an email which highlights some type of an issue faced by the company at present, or some type of an opportunity the company is trying to exploit at present. So present information is provided as part of each scenario at your real examination. So that's what you need to remember. And when it comes to referring to Preseen information, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to bring in information from the Preseen, or refer or cite the Preseen in such a way that it adds value to your answer. Just because you bring in information from the Preseen, you are not going to get marks. Instead, if you had brought in irrelevant information from the Preseen, you are going to lose marks. So the best way to focus on Preseen application is to identify which information can be brought in from the Preseen with the sole intention of improving the quality of your answer. So you are supposed to refer to the Preseen in such a way that it adds value to your answer. So value addition should be your focus, and there's absolutely no point of trying to force yourself on the examiner and show the examiner or the marker that you have studied the Preseen by bringing in irrelevant information. So whenever you are bringing in information from the Preseen, you should solely focus on improving the quality of the answer. You should not focus on just bringing in information from the Preseen with the intention of showing that you have gone through the Preseen. That will result in you actually losing marks. So how are you supposed to do these things in a practical manner? You'd learn these techniques at the upcoming webinar, which is happening next Saturday, webinar number 3, answering technique. I'll, whilst taking you through the answer of the mini mock, which we have, developed and shared with you already, I will highlight how Preseen information is brought in. And on top of that, you can also improve your skill set by referring to suggested answers and answer plans of mock exams. Especially if you focus on the answer plans, you are in a position to understand how and when Preseen information had been brought in with the intention of improving the quality of your answer. And you can also improve your Preseen application skills by watching each masterclass which we have developed. We have developed 15 masterclasses focused on each and every task covered under our 5 mock exams. So if you watch these masterclasses, you would also learn how relevant information should be brought in from the Preseen with the intention of improving the quality of your answers. Okay, so that's what you need to focus on. And most students are clueless about how theoretical knowledge is tested at the examination, or how to approach E3, F3 and P3 syllabi. So what I need to tell you is you need to prepare for application of theories and concepts. So as I mentioned earlier, as a senior finance manager, you are supposed to carry out evaluations, or else you are supposed to come up with your own recommendations. So when evaluating a certain situation, or when coming up with your recommendations, if the quality of the answer is to improve, then you need to utilize your theoretical knowledge. So if you're not too conversant with E3, F3 and P3 areas, you won't pass your examination. So at your previous exam, if you gained less than 70 marks, then that indicates that there are gaps in knowledge. So if you're coming through an exemption route, particularly, what I've encountered is most students are conversant with E3 related areas because it's all about strategy development. So you know what different types of strategy development methods are, and when it comes to strategy evaluation, you know what type of framework we are supposed to utilize. So all these things are covered within your academic qualifications, but particularly pertaining to F3 and P3, there are extensive gaps in knowledge, because P3 is all about risk management, risk evaluation and risk management, and on top of that setting controls within the organization. All these setting up the control environment, all these things are covered under the P3 syllabus. And on top of that, your knowledge pertaining to corporate governance falls under the P3 syllabus as well. So they are usually, what I've seen is students who are coming through the exemption route, they lack an in-depth knowledge about the areas which I named right now. And with regards to F3, it's all about finance strategy, or the examiner tests whether you are conversant with the numbers about the financial performance of the company, and whenever you are coming up with recommendations, whether it makes financial sense. So there are shortcomings with regards to F3 and P3. So if you want to pass your exam in Feb, you have to really focus on improving your knowledge in these syllabus areas. So although I'm saying these things, do not get worried. Don't think that you don't have time to go through all these syllabus content. We have developed a set of study resources with the intention of ensuring that you learn theory in an instantaneous manner, and in the most effective manner, which leads to you saving a lot of time, which can be allocated towards attempting mock exams on a weekly basis. I'll talk about these things later. And just because you know your theories and concepts, you cannot pass the exam, because if you write highly theoretical answers, you're not doing your job properly as a senior finance manager, because your board members are conversant with theories. So instead of highlighting theories or developing highly theoretical answers, what you need to do is you need to utilize your theoretical knowledge, and considering the information presented in each and every scenario, come up with your evaluations or recommendations. So if you are not too conversant with theoretical elements, you cannot come up with appropriate recommendations. You cannot carry out accurate evaluations. And on top of that, just because you know theory, if you come up with highly theoretical answers, again, you're not fulfilling or you're not carrying out your job in the most effective manner. So you need to know your theory, but you need to really focus on your application skills as well. So if you are a student who attempted the exam previously, gained more than 70 marks, yet ended up failing, if that is the case, this highlights that you need to really focus on your application skills. This highlights that you are usually coming up with highly theoretical answers, which should not be the case. You need to consider the information presented in the scenario. and utilizing your theoretical knowledge, come up with accurate and appropriate recommendations or carry out accurate evaluations. And on top of that, you have to be prepared to interpret figures and numbers. Mind you, you are not supposed to do major calculations at this examination. Instead, the facts and figures will be provided to you as part of each and every scenario. So your role is to interpret these figures and numbers. And when carrying out evaluations, when providing recommendations, you have to consider these figures and numbers and come up with your evaluations or recommendations. And when preparing for any of these syllabus areas, do not skip any topic, because if you're doing it, if you are doing so, you are actually taking a chance. You are trying your luck, you're testing your luck. Rather than testing your luck, it's better to be conversant with all these syllabus areas. And do not rely on predictions, as any area can be examined. So as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is trying to create a real life corporate environment. So as I mentioned earlier, you cannot predict the type of issues any company might face. You cannot predict the type of opportunities any company might face. So in such an environment, it's prudent to be open-minded. So your objective should be to be conversant with the syllabus areas. And after that, you have to focus on attempting mock exams with regards to improving your application skills. And if after that, if you keep your if you're open-minded, then your chances of passing the exam is extremely high. All right, so having said that, I'm moving to the second and the third parts of today's webinar, which is about conducting a pre-scene analysis. So first things first, I'll take you through the industry dynamics and then move into the internal dynamics of Robobryce. Okay, so I'm gonna conduct the industry analysis based on the industry analysis slides which we have prepared at TCS. So I'm not gonna take you through the entire set of slides. Instead, I'm only gonna focus on the most relevant areas so that you'd gain an understanding about what type of an industry Robobryce is based in. So first things first, it's prudent to look at how the market is defined. So I'm gonna highlight a market definition. So we are in the market of, Robobryce is in the market of automated material handling equipment industry. So we are into warehouse automation. That's what you need to remember. So what is this industry about? It encompasses the range of automated machinery and systems. So this industry consists of automated machinery and systems designed for material handling and storage in warehouses, manufacturing plants, and distribution centers, seeking to enhance efficiency, speed, and operations of warehouse operations. So with the intention of improving, simply put, with the intention of improving the efficiency and speed of activities which occurs within a warehouse, these type of players are operating within the market. So warehouse auto, if you look at this industry, simply put, you can call it warehouse automation industry. So if you look at the warehouse automation industry, their prime goal is to provide their products and services with the intention of improving the efficiency within warehouses. So what type of activities are carried out by players within this industry? So players are providing automated storage and retrieval systems. You call them ASRS systems or ASRSs. So if you can automate your storage, if you can automate your retrieval systems within your warehouse, we can achieve significant efficiency improvements, because if there's extremely low human intervention, then the number of accidents will decrease. And on top of that, you can reduce energy consumption and you can move a lot of goods and services here, goods actually, here and there without spending a lot of money. So that's what we are trying to achieve. And on top of that, these players within this industry, they are also involved with manufacturing automated guided vehicles, AGVs, as well as robots. That's exactly what you can see here. This is a good example of an AGV, which are typically used within warehouse operations. And they are also involved with manufacturing conveyors and sortation systems, because if you look at a warehouse run by a company such as Amazon, they are dealing with multitude of inbound logistics as well as outbound logistics. So they are, exposed to complex inbound and outbound logistics activities. So in such an environment, if they are using conveyor belts and sortation systems, their life becomes easy. And on top of that, these companies can achieve significant levels of efficiency. So in order to run all these automated warehouse solutions, you need software. So these companies which operate within the warehouse automation industry, they are not only focused on producing robots, ASRs, and AGVs. Instead, they are also involved with developing software which can be utilized by these companies. So software development is part and parcel of the players within this industry. And on top of that, they are also involved with warehouse design, because if you design the warehouse in the most efficient manner, then you can significantly drive down costs. You can significantly get rid of non-value adding activities. So that's exactly what players within this industry are involved with. So they are not only into manufacturing devices or vehicles which can be used within warehouses. Instead, they are also involved with a service element. They are into warehouse design, and they are into software development as well. So what are the goals of these type of companies? As I mentioned earlier, the prime goal of these companies are to enhance the efficiency of warehouse management activities, because if you do, you can significantly reduce costs. There's a lot of costs involved with warehousing, because if you are conversant with working capital management, which is covered under OCS and MCS syllabi, the most illiquid current asset are inventories. So all inventory management related activities results in a lot of costs. So if you do not manage your inventories properly, it leads to short-term cash flow issues. So you can't have too less stocks, or you can't have too much stocks. So all these issues will expose the company to a multitude of short-term cash flow issues. So in order to avoid them, it's better to increase the efficiency of your warehouse management activities. So if that is the case, you will not hold on to excessive stocks, or you won't have too less stocks. You'd have the appropriate level of stocks, which results in better cash flows in the short term. And there's an increased emphasis on innovation, because if you can innovate, you can get rid of humans operating within the warehouses. So if that is the case, you can significantly improve efficiency. And there's a lot of customization involved as well. So as I mentioned earlier, if you consider the warehouse operations of a company such as Amazon, it's extremely complex. You are dealing with a lot of orders. You are dealing with a multitude of stakeholders. So in such an environment, it's better if players within this industry can really understand the requirements of customers, and based on it, provide customized solutions. And on top of that, these players try to deliver exceptional customer service as well, because if you are listening to your customers, if you are going for customization, if you are helping your customers achieve significant cost efficiencies, then the customers will be satisfied. So you are not, these players within this successful players within this industry, they are not only involved with providing these automated vehicles and whatnot, developing software and developing or designing the warehouses. Instead, on an ongoing basis, they are hell-bent on providing customer support, especially given the fact that the software which you sell to a customer, you have to integrate the warehouse software with the customer's WMS, for instance. So in such an environment, you need to provide ongoing support, IT and tech support. So that's exactly what these players within the industry are trying to achieve. So that's what this industry is about. So let me quickly talk about industry trends, then I'll move into Robobryce, thereby highlighting their internal dynamics. So if you look at the industry trends, if you understand the industry trends, you are in a position to easily predict the type of scenarios which can be thrown at you at your real exam. So if you look at the trends, as I mentioned earlier, there's increased automation and robotics because with the intention of reducing the human intervention within warehouses. So the prime concern of reducing human intervention is to increase efficiency, and on top of that, reduce accidents because whenever there are humans involved, it leads to human error, and human error usually results in inefficiencies as well as accidents. So you can avoid all these things if you go for increased automation and robotics. So most major players within this industry, they are spending a significant amount of money on R&D with the intention of improving automation and integrating robots within warehouses. And there's a lot of IoT, AI, and machine learning involved within these companies, because if you can utilize IoT, you are in a position to easily network all different types of vehicles, all different types of machines, software, and whatnot. Utilizing IoT technology, you can connect or network all these different peripherals so that you can track the efficiency, or so that you can ensure efficiency within warehouse operations. And artificial intelligence can be utilized on multiple with multiple objectives in mind, with the intention of reducing inefficiencies, thereby reducing costs, as well as reducing accidents or health and safety issues within warehouses. And machine learning can be utilized to ensure that these different types of autonomous machines, the efficiency of them are kept track of, and the machines themselves can identify their own inefficiencies and can take decisions on their own with the intention of further improving efficiency. So there's a lot of spending going on IoT, adopting IoT, AI, and machine learning. And there's a growth in e-commerce, which had resulted in increasing the demand for automated warehouses. And on top of that, when conducting these operations, companies strive to achieve sustainability. Companies try to achieve carbon efficiency. The companies are trying not to depend on traditional energy sources. Instead, they are going for sustainable energy sources. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of customization happening, and you can see cobots or collaborative robots. So these are the type of robots which work alongside human beings. So rather than going for 100% automation, there are areas in which you need knowledge workers. So there are robots working hand in hand with knowledge as well as some technical workers. So if that is the case, you call that call these type of robots cobots or collaborative robots. And you can see companies investing on advanced software solutions. And as I mentioned earlier, companies try to achieve utmost levels of safety and security with the intention of protecting workers, not just workers, but assets as well. Because if a certain accident occurs, not just workers will be affected. It leads to stocks getting damaged. If that is the case, it's a cost for the company. So with the intention of getting rid of all these types of inefficiencies, companies, warehouse automators are spending money on ensuring safety and security. And blockchain technology is used primarily within the most successful warehouse automation companies, with the intention of securing transactions, tracking assets, as well as managing huge amounts of data sets in an appropriate manner. So these are the industry trends which based on which your scenarios will be developed at your real examination. Okay, so having said that, I said, I hope you have gained an in-depth understanding about what this industry is about. So in order to gain additional information about this industry, please go through the industry analysis slides, which are available under the paid content. And then moving on to the Preseen document. So I'm going to provide my evaluation about Robobryce's internal dynamics based on the annotated Preseen. Okay. So this is what the annotated Preseen looks like. So as I mentioned earlier, rather than going through pages and pages of information, it makes your life easy once you go through these points, and just like how this pre-scene analysis session is conducted, you'd see a similar approach when you go through the pre-scene analysis, the 3 pre-scene analysis videos which we have developed. So let's look at this company, what this company is up to. So Robobryce is one of the world's largest manufacturers of automated warehouse systems. So this is a large player, which is a significant strength for us, which drives reputation. It's easy to sell our products both locally, products and services, both locally and internationally, since we are one of the world's largest manufacturers of automated warehouse systems. And we are involved with designing warehouse solutions globally. So we are not only focused on one single, a country. We are not only focused on the local business environment. We are dealing with global players, global customers or global stakeholders, which results in different types of risks. And you need to be conversant with managing each type of risk. I'm going to talk about it later on in this pre-scene analysis. And we are involved with supplying hardware and software for which are used within warehouse operations. So as I mentioned earlier, these players within this industry, they are involved with not just into manufacturing, they are in the service sector as well. They are involved with developing software. So that's exactly what Robobryce is up to, if you look at their internal dynamics. And the company adopts an innovative approach to product development, thus producing highly adaptable, configurable shelves with special fitting and the different type. And so they are into producing shelving units. And on top of that, they are into manufacturing forklift models as well. So they are manufacturing conventional forklifts, high reach as well as narrow aisle forklifts, because these are the 3 main types of forklifts which you can see being used within any type of warehouse. So we are into manufacturing all these types of different forklift models. And on top of that, we are into manufacturing shelving units. And Robobryce is working closely with its clients, and they are involved with advising them on warehouse design. So just like what happens within the real industry, we are into manufacturing different types of vehicles as well as peripherals used within warehouses. We are into software development. And on top of that, we are also involved with designing warehouses, thereby providing ongoing customer support or connecting with customers on an ongoing basis. So looking at the history of the company was established 71 years ago, which is a significant strength. And we have been quoted within the Tesla stock market because as per the pre-scene, this fictitious company, Robobryce, is based in a fictitious country, which is Tesla. And we have been listed with the Teslandian stock market for the past 52 years, which is again a significant strength which drives brand reputation. And on top of that, talking about how our manufacturing operations occurred since inception, we have been operating within carrying out our manufacturing operations from factory which was based in Tesland. And in 2005, the company introduced the first autonomous product range. So until 2005, the company was involved with manufacturing non-autonomous vehicles as well as peripherals used within warehouse operations. But in 2005, the company introduced their the company introduced their autonomous range. And by 2008, 3 years after this autonomous range was introduced, the demand had significantly improved, which indicates that we have been successful when it comes to introducing this autonomous range. And autonomous products are manufactured in Tesla. So as I mentioned earlier, since inception, we have had a manufacturing facility within Tesla. And at the moment, we are solely focusing on manufacturing autonomous products within our Tesla's factory. And we relocated production of non-autonomous products to Darland in 2008. So Darland, I'll talk about Darland in a while. Darland is a low-income country. So we have 2 factories. So since inception, we were just operating within Tesla. But since 2008, we are operating from 2 different manufacturing facilities. So from Tesla as well as Darland. In Tesla, we are manufacturing our autonomous range, and in Darland, we are manufacturing our non-autonomous range. That's what you need to remember. So let's look at what happens within the Darland factory. As I mentioned earlier, we are manufacturing non-automated, non-autonomous products within this factory. And Darland, if you look at the dynamics within this country, it has a weak economy with low wages. So if you put up a production or a manufacturing plant in such an economy, you can benefit significantly because you need not pay too much for energy costs. You need not pay too much wages. Okay, and this week, because of the weakness of the economy, you can easily go for debt financing at low interest rates. So and the exchange rate will be beneficial for us as well. So that's what you need to remember. And although the economy is weak, the education standards are actually good, which enables easy recruitment. So we can easily recruit skilled and qualified individuals from this country at a cheaper rate. And what happens within the Teslan's operations? We are into manufacturing high precision autonomous equipment within our factory, which is located in our home country, which is Tesland. And we are utilizing robots for manufacturing and assembly operations. So what you need to remember is we are manufacturing high precision and autonomous equipment within our factory based in Tesland. And within our factory, we are utilizing robots for manufacturing and assembly operations. So this indicates that we are involved with complex operations, and the company is hell-bent about increasing efficiency and spending money on innovation. And looking at the staff members, the company operates with 12,000 individuals. 7,000 individuals are working within Darland's factory, and 5,000 individuals are working within our local factory, which is based in Tesland. So based on all this information, the type of scenarios which can be thrown at you could be you might have to provide recommendations to overcome ethical issues in relation to operations in Darland, which tests your understanding about E3 related areas. So although we are operating within a weak economy, it does not indicate that we should pay below average salaries. If we are doing it, then we are operating in an unethical manner. So even though we are operating within a low wage country, with the intention of improving our outlook with regards to business ethics, we need to pay above average, above industry salaries, as well as we have to ensure the health and safety of our workers. So questions might be thrown at you which highlights inefficiencies with regards to adhering to health and safety regulations, or there could be a situation where the board is not the board or the management within Darland's factory, they are not treating the employees properly, or they are not paid above industry salaries. So if that is the case, when coming up with your recommendations, always remember that we need to fulfill these two requirements. And on top of that, there could be another question about recommending controls with the intention of upholding health and safety, especially within Darland's factory, as well as upholding efficiency within our manufacturing operations. So covering all these areas, we have developed mock exams so that you are fully covered before walking into your real examination. Okay, so then let's talk about the different types of products and services offered by Robobryce. So we are offering a wide range of products aimed at warehouse operations. And as I mentioned earlier, we are manufacturing different types of equipment and peripherals via two factories. So the Darland factory handles the non-autonomous arm of production. So we are into manufacturing forklift trucks, hand trucks, as well as configurable shelving units within Darland. And when it comes to the autonomous range, we are providing horizontal and vertical carousels. We are manufacturing mobile robots such as AGVs and AMRs, as well as we are involved with manufacturing robots which can be utilized for G2P, goods to picker, and R2G, robot to good operations. So you might not be too conversant with what these things are. These are covered in depth within the industry analysis video, which we have developed under the under one of the three Preseen analysis videos. So watch that video to gain an understanding about what these things are. I'm not going to talk about it right now because we are short of time. And Robobryce's mobile robots are the most advanced in the market. So, the most innovative companies end up manufacturing robots. And we are not just into manufacturing robots. Ours are known to be the most innovative in the market. So this indicates how successful we are when it comes to conducting our R&D initiatives, how successful we are with regards to attracting customers, because if we are known to be one of the largest warehouse automators out there, and if our reputation, if it's based on innovation, then you can easily make a lot of money. You can easily improve your sales outlook. And we are also providing consulting support because, as I mentioned earlier, we cannot simply sell these peripherals or equipment. We have to provide continuous support. We have to share our knowledge and resources with our customers with the intention of ensuring that the customers actually know how to utilize these services, how to utilize these products with the intention of achieving utmost levels of efficiency. So with that in mind, we are providing consultancy support. So what type of consultancy support are we providing? We are providing support with regards to designing and installing warehouse systems. So I said one of the trends is to provide customized solutions. So that's exactly what we are involved with. So we help our clients design their warehouses, and on top of that, we are also involved with helping them with regards to installation, because they might be totally clueless about how to install these complex equipment within their warehouses. So we are involved with these operations, and we are employing 800 business advisors to help clients. So these business advisors are not involved with the installation activities. Instead, they are involved with understanding the exact needs of customers, sharing our knowledge about how to improve warehouse improve efficiency within warehouses by automating the warehouses, as well as these advisors or consultants, 800 in number, are involved with designing or providing customized services to the clients. And these consultants are involved with providing ongoing support with the intention of ensuring that these clients of ours successfully integrate our warehouse solutions with their own warehouse management systems or WMSs. So there's an integration part. We are involved with providing the necessary equipment as well as warehouse, as well as software. And we should also be conversant about integrating our own warehouse with the WMSs used by our clients. So in such an environment, it exposes us to certain set of risks with regards to data security and data privacy. So all these areas are covered within our mock exams. And we are also involved with providing R&D or research, and we are involved with research and development activities, or else we can't build a reputation which is based on innovation. So within our research lab, we have 900 staff members. So what's the composition of our research lab? We have 300 mechanical engineers, 300 electrical engineers, as well as 300 software engineers who are involved with manufacturing operations as well as software development operations. And what's the focus of our R&D arm? We are focused on improving the precision and capacity of autonomous products, because if our autonomous products provide utmost levels of precision, then it leads to significant cost reductions and our clients will be satisfied. And we are also focused on developing equipment and warehouse solutions with the intention of reducing damage to inventories, because as I mentioned earlier, if you can reduce damages to inventories, it will affect short-term cash flows in an extremely positive manner. And we are also researching about improving battery and charging efficiency, because this leads to significant cost efficiencies with regards to energy consumption. And we are also focusing on improving capacity and reliability by upgrading our hardware and software, and maintain software to improve integration with WMSs used by our clients. So considering all these information, considering the internal dynamics of Robobryce, The overall analysis is that Robobryce has significant strengths which drive competitive advantage. So as per Porter's generic strategy, the company has adhered to a differentiation strategy. So as you know, as you should know already, if a company is pursuing a differentiation strategy, then they need to focus on achieving utmost levels of quality. So you attract customers by providing utmost levels of quality. So that's what a differentiation strategy is about. So as per the information which I presented right now, these guys are spending a lot of money on R&D. They are, really successful with their R&D initiatives, which had led to a reputation which is based on innovation, which helps this company differentiate itself with other players within the market. And they have been exploiting opportunities since inception, which is good, which highlights the fact that the company has a positive attitude towards opportunities, especially given the fact that they have been in operation for the past 70 years. They have been listed within the stock market for the past 50 odd years. So such a company is a stable company with a lot of money at its disposal. So in such an environment, such a company will be hell-bent about exploiting its opportunities, and this company is tech-savvy as well. So based on all this information, the type of areas which can be tested are mentioned in here. I'm not going to evaluate how these areas are tested. Instead, I've covered all these things within the Preseen analysis videos which we have developed, which can be accessed via the paid content. So if you watch these Preseen analysis videos, you'd know how each of these syllabus areas can be tested at your real exam. And when developing your mock exams, we have considered all these elements as well. Okay, so having said that, let me quickly take you through the risk report. Since we are running out of time, I've already taken 60 minutes of your time. So I'm not going to take you through the entire risk report. Instead, I'm solely going to focus on one element. Then you'd understand how we are supposed to approach this principal risks report of Robobryce. So I'll focus on one of the shortest ones. Robobryce does business in many different countries, both as a supplier of warehouse products. So we are selling to a multitude of clients across the world, and supplier of warehouse products and systems, and as a buyer of parts and material. So we have to buy parts and material because we are involved with autonomous and non-autonomous warehouse equipment manufacturing. So we are dealing with a lot of international suppliers, and on top of that, we are selling to a multitude of international customers. So what type of risk mitigation strategies? So this is a risk at our disposal when we are dealing with international clients, and when we are dealing with international suppliers, it exposes us to a plethora of risks. So what type of risks are we focused? So this company had identified these risks. So after identifying these risks, what type of mitigatory action have they taken? Robobryce hedges currency risk as appropriate, focusing on the management of economic and transaction risks. So they have understood that by dealing with global clients and by dealing with global suppliers, we are exposed to a multitude of risks, and the risk mitigatory strategy is solely focused on managing currency risk by hedging the forex risk. So let's see whether this is appropriate or whether we need to really focus on other mitigatory measures. So that's exactly what you can see in here. So this is not mentioned within your Preseen document. These are developed by TCS. So the issue is highlighted in here, and the current mitigatory action is to hedge currency risk. So they are solely focusing on currency risk. So that's the assessment which we have provided. This action mainly addresses financial risk and does not account for other international business risks such as geopolitical issues, compliance, and regulatory challenges. So this company had actually identified this risk in an accurate manner. However, the mitigatory action is not up to the required level of standard. So they have only or solely focused on the forex risk, leaving out geopolitical risks, international business risks, compliance, and regulatory risks or challenges. So with the intention of enhancing this risk mitigatory action, I've suggested these things. So when dealing with international clients and suppliers, we have to always consider geopolitical an activity where we conduct a geopolitical risk assessment, which helps us to anticipate and prepare for potential issues that could impact business operations. And especially if you look at the real life dynamics, the entire world is at war, which had resulted in inefficiencies in international trade. So these type of issues will definitely affect a global company which deals with global customers as well as suppliers. Before I move forward, someone's mic is not on mute. Let me mute it. Okay. All right. Superb. Then we can reduce this risk by opting for a diversification strategy with regards to dealing with a multitude of suppliers. Not just if we rely on single supplier or a limited set of suppliers, then we are exposed to international business risk. So in order to avoid this risk, it's better to diversify our supplier portfolio so that if one supplier fails, we can depend on an additional supplier. And we have to improve our compliance related activities, or we have to improve our controls. So we have to ensure that we comply with different regulatory frameworks utilized within different countries in which our customers and suppliers are based at. And it's better to consider local partnerships, because if we can, especially when dealing with suppliers, if we can find suppliers within Tesland itself, or if we can find suppliers who are located within Daland, then our forex exposure as well as exposure to geopolitical risk, international business risk significantly decreases, because you can easily keep track of the suppliers who are located within your home country. And on top of that, it's better to go for multi-currency accounts when dealing with different countries. For each country, for each country's currency, if we can have a separate account, then we can significantly avoid our exposure to forex risk. And we have to regularly train and update our employees, especially those who are involved with strategic decision making, those who are involved with dealing with global clients and suppliers, with the intention of ensuring that they are always kept informed about the type of risks at our disposal and how to manage each type of risks. So likewise, for each of the risk and the mitigatory action adopted by the company, I've conducted my own evaluation and highlighted whether it's up to the required level of standard or whether we need to improve. So I'm not going to focus on all these elements within this webinar because we are running out of time. But in order to gain an in-depth understanding, watch our Preseen, one of our Preseen analysis videos, so that you'd understand what each of these elements and how each of these elements are covered within our pre-annotated Preseen. Okay, so it brings us to the end of the Preseen analysis. So before we move forward, any questions, folks? So I've been talking and trying to cover a lot within the last 60 minutes. Now it's your opportunity to talk. You might have questions, you might have concerns, so you can raise them now. So I'm gonna stop the recording, or pause the recording rather. Okay, seems like there aren't any more questions. So thank you for raising these concerns. I hope you gain something out of it. So before we move on to the last part of today's webinar, let me quickly mention about what we offer at TCS. So we are in the SCS page. So if you are yet to check out the free content, please click on this button and gain access to the free content which we offer. So these free content comprises of the recorded versions of the 4 webinars which we are conducting, a mini mock, its suggested answer, and its answer plan. And if you are interested in investing, I invite you to check out our sample material by clicking on this button. So, this consists of all the different types of material which we offer at TCS. So before you purchase, it's better to get yourself accustomed with what we offer. And if you are yet to, be part and parcel of our SCS WhatsApp discussion forum, simply click on this button and, take part of it, because via this WhatsApp group, we will be keeping you reminded about the upcoming webinars and workshops which are happening on a weekly basis until your exam, which will be extremely beneficial for you. And on top of that, we will be sharing certain free content as well as study resources for your benefit. So be part of it by clicking on this button. And talking about what we offer two main packages, the value pack and the premium package. So the value pack is designed for students who are coming through the CIMA general route. So if you are coming through the CIMA general route, you should be already conversant with your E3, P3, and F3 syllabi, because you have done your OTQ exams. So there's absolutely no point of you trying to learn theory, because you have already learned theory. So focused on these type of students, we have developed the value pack. And again, if you're coming through the general route, you would have done your OCS and MCS exams. So then you'd have an in-depth understanding about what this examination is about, the technicalities behind it, and how you are supposed to develop high quality answers. So with that in mind, we have developed the value pack. So with the value pack, what type of resources will you get access to? You'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars where we are highlighting the technicalities behind the SCS exam. And you'd also gain access to 5 mock exams with suggested answers. So mind you, when developing the 5 mock exams, we have covered the entire syllabus. We have covered all E3, P3, and F3 syllabi with the intention of ensuring that you are fully prepared and geared for your examination. So you can purchase them under the value pack. And this also comes with the value pack also comes with the Preseen analysis videos, the 3 Preseen analysis videos which we have developed already. And just like how I conducted the Preseen analysis session in today's webinar, you'd see a similar approach being adhered to when conducting each of these Preseen analysis sessions. And you'd also gain access to the annotated Preseen, which makes your life extremely easy with regards to decrypting the Preseen document. And you'd also gain access to industry and financial analysis cards. You saw what is covered under our industry and financial analysis cards. So you can gain access to these documents and gain additional information for your benefit. And you'd also gain access to the top 20 likely issues slide, which highlights the type of scenarios which can be thrown at you at your real exam. You'd also gain access to the case study familiarization kit, which will help you gain an understanding about the technicalities behind the SCS exam. You'd also gain access to a tutor managed live chat so that you can raise your concerns whenever it arises. And this also comes with the OTQ revision cards. So even although you are coming through the CIMA general route, although you would have completed your OTQs, it's better to brush up your knowledge about these theoretical elements closer to the exam. So with that in mind, we have developed the OTQ revision cards. So this package is priced at £249. You can click on this button and purchase your preferred package via our website. And looking at the premium package, this is designed for students who are coming through the exemption routes, such as FLP or the CGMA routes. Okay, so if you are coming through an exemption route, as I mentioned earlier, you might have gaps in knowledge pertaining to especially pertaining to P3 and F3 syllabi. So considering these type of students, we have developed the premium package. So the premium package comes with all material which comes with the value pack. Additionally, you'd have access to an online mock exam platform. So rather than getting accustomed to exam conditions for the first time at your examination, it's better to get accustomed to exam conditions, the technicalities behind your exam platform while attempting each of your mock exams. So in the third webinar, in the upcoming webinar, I will be highlighting an answering and time management technique. And when attempting each mock exam, you have to keep practicing these answering and time management techniques on your own in order to champion it. Because if you do, then you'd be extremely successful in managing your time and developing high quality answers, well-structured answers at your real examination. So the best way to practice answering and time management techniques under real exam conditions is to attempt each mock exam, each of the 5 mock exams via our online mock exam platform. So we have developed an exam platform which is akin to the Pearson VUE system, which you'd use at your real examination. So you can significantly benefit from the service which we're offering. And you'd also gain access to one-on-one tutor feedback for mocks 3, 4, and 5. So out of the 5 mocks which we have developed, the first 2 mocks are there to get your bearings with the answering and time management techniques, which we cover in the third webinar. And once you are conversant with the answering and time management techniques, you'd be able to come up with high quality answers. So with that in mind, we are providing tutor feedback for mocks 3, 4, and 5. So let me quickly show you the type of feedback we provide at TCS. So as you can see, on a paragraph by paragraph basis, we have provided tutor feedback, and tutor notes are also provided at the end with the intention of further improving your understanding about your shortcomings and what you should have achieved when attempting each mock exam. So that's exactly what you can see throughout this document. The entire answer script is filled with notations, which are developed with the intention of ensuring that you really understand your shortcomings and take all necessary steps to avoid these shortcomings at your real exam, as well as when attempting your mock exams in the future. And at the very end, mark allocations are provided on a subtask by subtask basis. And not just the marks, we have given an indication about the success rate as well. So the success rate indicates the subtasks in which your performance is not up to par. So after you receive this tutor feedback, when conducting your revision, you need to solely focus on redeveloping answer plans focused on the subtasks in which your performance was low. So rather than, with the intention of improving the quality of your answers, rather than attempting the entire mock, thereby allocating 3 hours of your time and attempting the mock once more, this leads to you wasting your time. Rather than doing that, the smart approach is to solely focus on the subtasks in which your performance was not up to the required level of standard. So you can gain an understanding about these things by looking at the success rate. And if you look at the student, the success rate is not too good with regards to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 subtasks. So when redeveloping answer plans, the students should only focus on redeveloping answer plans for 5 main subtasks, and the total marks are provided. And at the very end, general comments are also given with the intention of ensuring that you really understand what your shortcomings are. And the premium package also comes with answer plans for all mock exams. No other service provider is giving this service. So I'll quickly show you what an answer plan looks like. So just because you have access to suggested answers, it does not mean that you'd really understand what's covered within the suggested answer, unless and otherwise you come up with study notes or short notes which are based on, or answer plans which are based on the suggested answer. So rather than you having to waste time on going through the suggested answer, developing your own short notes or study notes, we have done it for you. So you'd gain access to answer plans such as this for all 5 mock exams. So as you can see, in a concise manner, you can see how the answer is structured, what is covered within the answer, how theoretical elements had been brought in, how Preseen information had been brought in. So Ashok was asking a question previously about the beta. So this is a mock exam which is relevant to a previous sitting. So based on the beta, what type of evaluations you are supposed to carry out, what happens if the beta increases, and in the long run, what happens to the company. Likewise, you can easily understand the structure of each answer, easily understand how theoretical elements have been brought in, easily improve your application skills, as well as understand how Preseen information should be brought in when developing high quality answers. So this makes your life easy, closer to the exam. If you go through these answer plans, it's as if you have covered the entire syllabus, you have revised the entire syllabus. I do not want you guys to spend time or waste time on going through your study notes or study texts. Instead, simply go through these answer plans. That's the best type of revision which you need to focus on. And I said that you need to read, after receiving tutor feedback, you need to redevelop answer plans focused on subtasks where your performance was not up to the required level of standard. So after you had redeveloped answer plans, you can simply compare your answer plan to the answer plans which were provided and further understand what your shortcomings are. So this is the proven way to significantly improve your chances of passing your SCS exam. And on top of that, you'd also gain access to 15 master classes. So in each mock exam, it consists of 3 tasks, just as in your real examination. So 3 tasks in each mock into 5 mocks comes up to 15 tasks in total. So focused on each and every task, we have developed a masterclass. So what is covered within the masterclass is, based on the answer plans, we are explaining the logic of the questions and answers. Whilst explaining the logic of each and every question and answer, we will be teaching you theory as well as teaching you application skills. So if you have gaps in theoretical knowledge, you need not worry. If you're coming through the exemption route, you need not worry. Just by watching these master classes, you can easily learn theory. At the same time, understand how theoretical knowledge should be utilized when developing your answers. So if you understand this, then you are improving your application skills as well. So if you want to understand the logic of each answer, if you want to improve your theoretical knowledge as well as application skills, simply gain access to the master classes so that you can learn theory and improve your application skills in a jiffy. And this package, the premium package, comes with a pass guarantee. So if you end up failing the examination after investing in the premium package, you'd gain access to the premium package in your subsequent sitting free of charge. That's the pass guarantee which we provide. However, in order to gain access to or to claim the pass guarantee, you need to complete these 3 tasks. You have to complete all 5 mock exams, because if you don't complete all 5 mocks, you're not covering the entire syllabus, you are testing your luck. So if you do not attempt all 5 mocks via our exam platform, you cannot claim the pass guarantee. Your solutions need to be original when developing your answers. If you go through the suggested answers, or if you refer to master classes before attempting your mock exams, you are cheating yourself. So if you are cheating yourself, you are not in a position to improve your skill set before the exam, and you have to meet the performance criteria. For mocks 3, 4, and 5, you need to gain more than 40%. Why have we come up with this type of criteria? With the intention of ensuring that you are serious, you are doing a serious job, you are giving your best shot when attempting mocks 3, 4, and 5. Why should you give your best shot? Why should you be serious? Because you are receiving tutor feedback. So I'm involved with marking. So I take about 1.5 to 2 hours to mark each answer script. So if I'm spending that amount of time, and if you had spent a lot of money on the premium package, you have to be serious when it comes to attempting mocks 3, 4, and 5. So with the intention of ensuring that you are serious about what you're doing, we have come up with this performance criteria. So if you complete all 3 requirements, there's absolutely no way that you'd end up failing the exam. Even after doing all these things, if you fail, you'd gain access to the premium package in your subsequent sitting free of charge. That's the pass guarantee which we are providing. So the package comes at £849. So you can pay in 2 installments of 424 each, 2 monthly installments, or else if you pay in full, you can save £100. If that's the case, you can purchase the package at £749. So you can click on this button and purchase your preferred package from the website instantaneously. And if you are to still yet to register for the webinars, simply register for your webinars via this area. And we have developed a 7-week study plan, which was covered in the first webinar. I hope you would have gone through it. So according to the study plan, we are in the first week, and within this week, you have to solely focus on the Preseen document. So watch the Preseen analysis videos, refer to the annotated Preseen, and refer to financial analysis, industry analysis, and top 20 issue slides within this week. So this week should be dedicated towards the Preseen document and understanding or decrypting the Preseen document. And from week 2 or the next week or the following week, you have to start focusing on mock exams on a week-by-week basis. Do not wait until the last moment. Start right now, because if you do a week before the exam, in the 7th week, you'll be relaxing when all the other students are scrambling for time. So in order to avoid inefficiencies, in order to avoid exam stress, simply start your preparations right now. Do not wait until the last moment. So you can at any time gain access to the study plan by clicking on this button. So these are the type of services which we offer at TCS. So having said that, we are moving on to the last part of today's webinar. Before we do, some questions had come in. I'll address these concerns. So I'm going to pause the record, resume the recording. All right, thank you. Thank you for that question. Another question had come in. Yes, after, in a while, in another 10 minutes, I'll address your concerns, Shakil. Okay, so rebounding from failure, what are you supposed to do? First things first, you have to be involved with a personal reflection. You need to really understand what went wrong last time. You need to really understand your shortcomings. So I will be talking about, major shortcomings faced by most students out there, and for each shortcoming I will provide a solution. So after I've highlighted these shortcomings, sit in one place in isolation and think the type of issues you faced last time, and then you'd know how to avoid each of these shortcomings. And you need to diagnose the reasons first and address this time, because address them this time, because if you keep on committing the same mistakes over and over, you'd keep failing the SCS exam. Because if you look at the SCS exam, this is the last hurdle which you need to cover. And because of that, this exam is tough. So if you have some type of inefficiencies, and if you keep committing the same mistakes over and over again, you'd end up wasting a lot of time and money, because you'd have to prepare for exams every 3 months or every 6 months. So it's better to sit in isolation and really understand what your shortcomings were and try to avoid them. And in order to understand what actually went wrong last time, refer to the mock exams. Then you'd understand the type of questions which are thrown at you, and refer to the suggested answers and answer plans in order to determine the type of answers you should have developed, the type of areas or how to bring in syllabus knowledge and apply it, considering the information presented in the scenario. So in order to understand all these things, go through suggested answers and answer plans. And last time you might not have gotten tutor feedback for your mocks. So if that is the case, especially if you're coming through an exemption route, you might be clueless about your shortcomings. So most students who are coming through exemption routes, since you are landing at SCS after following an academic qualification, most students are clueless about how knowledge is tested at the SCS exam. So if you had followed an academic qualification, your knowledge is primarily tested via assignments and presentations, and you have some time to prepare for your assignments and presentations. Even if you do not attend lectures, you can still conduct your own research and come up with high quality assignments, or do prepare fully for your presentations. However, this exam or these type of professional qualifications are totally different. It tests your ability to handle pressure. It tests your knowledge in a practical sense. It tests whether you can come up with recommendations which makes financial sense, which are aligned with the internal as well as the external dynamics of the company. And this is not easy. So in order to understand where you stand as a student, if you are especially coming through an exemption route, just by attempting mock exams, you are not in a position, you will not be in a position to understand what your shortcomings are, primarily given the fact that you do not know what's expected from you. So this time, if you want to pass, it's better to opt for tutor feedback, so that you really understand your shortcomings, and you are in a position to avoid them when conducting your preparations, and avoid such inefficiencies at your real exam. And based on this diagnosis, you have to come up with an action plan, which should be to work smarter than the previous attempt. So if you utilize our study material and study resources, if you stick to our study plan, if you are clueless about the study plan which we have provided, please watch the recorded version of webinar 1, where I've explained the entire study plan in depth. Then you'd realize that your real responsibility is just to attempt a mock per week. Everything else is handled by us. And according to our study plan, you just need to spend 7 hours of preparations on a weekly basis. So out of these 7 hours, 3 hours should be allocated towards attempting the mock under exam conditions, and the remaining 4 hours should be allocated towards watching the master classes and checking tutor feedback. So just by allocating 7 hours, out of which 3 hours is actually your real responsibility to attempt a mock per week, if you stick to our study plan, you can cover all elements in the smartest manner, which will ensure a first time pass. Okay. So having said that, let me highlight the common reasons for failure. So most students fail because they practice just 2 or 3 mock exams. And as I highlighted earlier within this webinar itself, if you attempt just 2 or 3 mock exams, you cannot cover the entire syllabus. So if you are not conversant with the entire syllabus, you would be shocked at your real exam, because let's assume when attempting the mocks, you did not attempt a mock which had something to do with risk management, recommending risk mitigatory strategies as well as recommending controls. So if you are not conversant with such a question and something like that appears within your real exam, then you'd be shocked. Then you'd end up failing the examination. If you were not too conversant with the framework which you are supposed to use for strategy evaluation, you are supposed to use the SAF framework whenever you are evaluating a certain strategy. So if you have not done a question covering this area when carrying out your preparations, chances of you passing the exam is extremely low. So if you practice just 2 or 3 mocks, then that indicates that you have started preparations just 2 or 3 weeks before the exam, which doesn't make any sense, because if you do that, you are exposed to a lot of stress before the exam. So if you are stressed before the exam, you'd panic at your real exam, and panic leads to a situation where you'd experience brain freeze, and then you cannot function properly. And when you are experiencing brain freeze, then you would definitely run out of time. And if you run out of time, you would end up failing the SCS examination. So if you practice just 2 or 3 mocks, this time you have to attempt 5 mocks. The best way to look at these things is to attempt a mock per week. So stick to our study plan, start preparations now itself to avoid a disappointment in another 6 weeks. And not practicing mocks under simulated exam conditions, that's another problem. So as you would have seen, your exam paper consists of 3 main elements or 3 main tasks. So when attempting the entire paper, or when attempting each mock exam, you have to attempt it under exam conditions. What is an exam condition? Where you sit in one place, allocate 3 hours of your time, and attempt the entire paper at a stretch. Because if you attempt task 1 today, task 2 tomorrow, and task 3 day after tomorrow, you are not sticking to or adhering to an exam situation. Because when practicing mocks, if you practice on a task by task basis, however, at the exam, if you have to sit in one place and handle exam pressure for 3 hours, it doesn't make any sense. So it's better to replicate a scenario which is similar to your real exam when attempting your mock exams. Then you'd get accustomed to exam stress, exam pressures, and you'd know what you're supposed to do to overcome these stressful moments at your real exam. Okay, so if you did not practice mocks under simulated exam conditions, this time attempt mocks via our exam platform, so that you gain an in-depth exposure to the type of issues you face at the exam, before the exam, rather than facing these issues at your real exam. And lack of technical knowledge is a killer. So I highlighted this area earlier. I spoke about this area earlier as well. So if you are not too conversant with E3, F3, and P3 syllabi, you have to focus on improving your theoretical knowledge. And the solution for this are the master classes. So if you lack theoretical knowledge, do not waste time on going through your study texts and whatnot, because you have just 6 weeks for your preparations. So in the upcoming 6 weeks, your prime goal should be to attempt mocks under exam conditions on a week by week basis, rather than trying to summarize your notes and whatnot. Because if you watch the master classes, you would learn theory easily. And another problem is with regards to application skills. So one of the students within this forum actually asked this question a while back as to how we are supposed to utilize theoretical knowledge and apply it to apply this theoretical content within our answers, thereby at the same time considering what's highlighted within the scenario. So if you had shortcomings in application, such as with regards to recommending controls. So for instance, when recommending controls, certain type of issues will be highlighted, certain type of issues faced by the company will be highlighted within the scenario. And considering each of these issue, you have to come up with your own set of controls. So when coming up with your controls, you have to utilize your knowledge pertinent to what you learned under the P3 syllabus. So if your application is not up to standard, then you cannot pass the exam. So again, the best way to improve your application skills is to watch the master classes. So you, if you watch the master classes, you can overcome issues with knowledge as well as application skills. And inappropriate answering technique is another killer, because I've seen so many hordes and hordes of students out there. What they'd do is they'd read through the scenario, and right after reading through the scenario, they'd start typing the answer without spending time to plan out the answer. And once you start typing the answer, halfway through, if you realize that you are headed in the wrong direction, if you realize that you are not fulfilling the requirement, then you'd have to end up deleting the answer. And once you delete the answer, you know for a fact that you have wasted time, and this leads to extreme levels of stress and negativity. And once you know in the back of your mind, once you know that you had wasted time, it affects your performance in an adverse manner, because as I mentioned earlier, you need to be confident before the exam, and you need to maintain your positivity throughout the examination. So if you end up deleting the answer, and when you know that you had wasted time, there's no way that you'd have a positive attitude, a positive mindset. And if that's the case, you'd end up failing the exam. So another problem which is linked to inappropriate answering technique is mismanagement of time. So you'd run out of time if you do not stick to an answering technique. You cannot simply, just because you have 60 minutes per task, you cannot simply manage this time. If you had attempted the SCS exam, you'd know what I'm talking about. Although you have an hour per task, it it runs, the clock runs so quickly when you are under exam stress. Okay, although you have 60 minutes, it's as if you just had 20 minutes per task. Why is that the case? Because you have not adhered to an answering technique. Because if you adhere to an answering technique, the next step is with regards to managing your time. So if you want to manage your time, definitely you need to focus on an answering technique. So these are the two elements which are covered in our upcoming webinar. So if you attend the third webinar, you will overcome issues pertaining to answering technique and time management techniques. And on top of that, just because you attend the webinar, you can't get these things right. When attempting each of the 5 mock exams, you have to keep practicing these techniques over and over, because if you do, you'd be practicing answering and time management techniques 15 times over before you walk into your examination. So if you practice these techniques 15 times over, that's enough and more practice you need to champion these techniques. So focus on these elements with the intention of improving the quality of your answer and managing your time properly. And lack of evaluation is another problem. So especially if you are coming through an exemption route, you might not have the capability to compare your answer to the suggested answers which are provided for each and every mock. So, if that is the case, if you are not too capable of comparing your answer to the suggested answer, then it's prudent to opt for tutor feedback. So if you go for tutor feedback, we are well trained to understand what your shortcomings are. And once you understand your real shortcomings, you can take all necessary steps to avoid each of these shortcomings. And another problem is with regards to not adhering to a study plan, because most students, as I mentioned earlier, start preparations 2 or 3 weeks before the exam, which indicates that they have not stuck to a study plan. So with the intention of ensuring that you achieve this, we have developed a study plan which can be accessed via the website. So make use of these free resources and services which we provide for your benefit, because just like in any other experience you'd encounter in your life, this is not an easy examination. But if you pass CIMA, so many doors would open. You are in a position to start your own business because you have enough knowledge to start a business, or you'd climb the corporate ladder faster. So if you do not prepare fully, there's absolutely no way that you'd pass this examination. So you just need to focus on preparations for the 6 weeks, for the upcoming 6 weeks. So I've highlighted what you need to do in the upcoming 6 weeks in the first webinar. So simply by sticking to our study plan and attempting a mock per week, you are in a position to pass your SCS exam. So these are the common shortcomings faced by students. And if I add another point, I've seen students out there, going through past exam variants or past exam papers. If you do that, and if you expect to pass the SCS examination, you can forget about success, because the past variants or past exam papers are based on different case studies. And in each case study, the internal and external dynamics, as well as the what's highlighted as part of financial statements, are totally different or irrelevant to the company in which this time's case study is developed. So if you want to really understand the type of questions which can be thrown at you, type of theoretical elements which can be tested, and how you are supposed to apply your theoretical knowledge, you have to attempt Preseen relevant mock exams. If not, if you solely rely on past papers, you'd encounter a situation where you end up failing the exam. So it's better to invest on Preseen specific and exam standard mock exams. So these are the shortcomings, the different types of shortcomings which you'd encounter. And for each shortcoming, I highlighted what you need to do to avoid each of these shortcomings. So let me remind you about the pass rate which we achieved in August 2023. Although the results for the November 2023 session is out, we are still in the process of collating data. So because of that, I'm still talking about what we achieved in August. So we achieved a 95% pass rate, and our students ended up, most of our students ended up passing the exam simply by sticking to the study plan. So if you stick to the study plan, you can succeed for sure. All right, any questions before we wind up? I'm opening the floor for a Q&A session. Any questions? I'm going to pause the recording. All right, thank you, folks, for those questions. I hope I addressed all your concerns and you gained something out of it. You're welcome, guys. And let me, before I wind up, let me quickly tell you how you can contact us. So you can contact us via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com, or you can drop us an email via info@study@tcs.com, or simply drop us a message via our WhatsApp, which is 7898464196. And I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially TikTok, because as I mentioned at the inception of today's webinar, there's a good mind map which covers the entire Preseen, which highlights the most important points which are highlighted within the Preseen. So keep watching these 3 TikTok videos on a continuous basis, on a daily basis, so that you get accustomed with this information, so that you need not actually do anything else to remember these points. So keep watching these 3 TikTok videos, which can be accessed via this link. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the second webinar. So thank you very much for joining in. And I hope you gain something out of this session. And I hope you'd stick to the study plan which we have provided, because you just have 6 weeks at your disposal. So you have to attempt 5 mock exams within these 6 weeks. So that's why you need to start preparations now itself. And if you have any concerns, simply get in touch with us. I'm happy to help you guys out. So having said that, thank you very much for joining in. I'll see you guys next week with our most important third webinar, answering and time management techniques. See you and enjoy your evening.